Hi, welcome to the podcast, Haberman and Middlekoff podcast. I'm Guy Haberman, and with me once again today is John Middlekoff.
How you doing, everybody?
All right, this is listen. If you're listening, leave us a review. We're not going to get a mailbag in this week. Mailbag will return next week. Go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. Also, for those of you watching, hit that like button. We've got a great guest on the show today, John. He will not be part of the live stream. If you're listening to the podcast, you will hear him. If you're watching this YouTube, there will be a separate video that goes up later with our guest. And our guest on the show today is
Donte Whitner.
Donte Whitner, who we just finished recording with, and he brings it.
Yeah, 3 tough guys, you know.
It's just 3 hard-nosed SOBs.
You're a tough guy, you're a tough guy. You know, tough guys just gravitate toward other tough guys.
He was really good. And we think you're going to really like that
pretty high. If Ohio State, no wonder they win. They get high-level guys that are good at football. It's not like that complicated of a strategy. You just get tough guys who can tackle, score touchdowns, who are smart. You build a program around them, and you win natties and compete for natties.
God, he was – it just goes to show, like, at the highest level, you get the highest level. You get, Donte Whitner is a total package guy, right? If you're an NFL, he's a total package. He's a smart guy. He's a tough guy. He plays hard, and he's really good.
I think there are 2, even more than Georgia, the 2 true programs. Maybe Georgia's jumped now with Urban being gone. They choose you. You don't choose them. Like, recruiting is like, you got to sell them. No, Alabama picks who they want. I think Ohio State falls under that umbrella as well.
Yeah. So this is going to be a little snappy of a show outside of that in terms of the live stream because Middlekoff's got a flight. He's going down to play some golf in SoCal. He will be in the stands. Who am I kidding? He will be in the suite with Stan Kroenke on Sunday afternoon for Niners Rams. So let's dive in, John. This show is brought to you in part by MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM, and the number 1, MyBookie.ag, HAM1.
Lock of the week, MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM1, which we put in earlier this week, and I actually still feel really good about it. Pats, Dolphins. Last we got them at -7. I'm checking the line right now. It is -6.5. So it's going the other way a little bit. I still feel pretty good. Like our chances. Belichick against Tua. Let's go, baby. Because we just saw Tua against the Titans, who are not as good of a defense as the Patriots, and the Titans kick their ass. Tua, he doesn't stink, but he's closer to stinking than being good.
He's not as bad as you want to be when you're just shitting on everything, right?
Yeah, he's not as bad as like the internet meanness to him.
Right, but that comes from the fact that he was drafted ahead of Justin Herbert.
And part of when you just say when you get drafted just in general as a top 5 quarterback and you don't look like you're ever going to make Pro Bowls, people are just going to be hard on you.
Yeah. It's the physicality of his arm for sure.
And he looks tiny, doesn't he?
Yeah, right. The physicality of the whole package. That's a better way to put it. MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM, and the number 1. When you make that deposit, they will match that deposit dollar for dollar up to $1,000. If you accept the bonus, remember you have to bet the full amount before you can withdraw funds. You can also decline the bonus. Either way, HAM1, let them know that we sent you. Niners Rams is the game of the week. And I know this because it's got Joe Buck and Troy Aikman calling the damn thing, John. It's a massive game. Would you say the biggest game since fill in the blank for the 49ers?
Super Bowl. That game's pretty big.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They did not play in a game last year that meant this much, and games are all relative during a season. The Titans game was huge. They lost, but this game is infinitely bigger because you lose. I think you have to assume you're going home. It's not a lock they go home, right? But you have to assume you go home, and you follow this. Us, with our phones in our hands, I guess they have scoreboard at SoFi. They'll be able to see what the score is, but you're so locked into that game. Like unless they're down like 20-0 at halftime, the Saints, if it's just 7, like you'll just be locked into trying to win, right?
Yes. Now, I guess there's not some scenario where you look up and you see what you just described, and then you pull. Who are you pulling? There's only 46 active players, right? The question is, can you win with Trey Lance at quarterback? And will Trey Lance play quarterback for the 49ers? If he does, it's going to be a massive game for him. But I think more than that, this goes back to the team first and foremost. They have had Sean McVay's number, right? They've beat him 5 times in a row. But you can't deny, if you zoom out and look at the McVay and Shanahan eras, the McVay era has gone better. And it's not about comparing the two so much as it is about just getting to the playoffs. And I think there have been some bad years for the 49ers. Last year was one. But the year that Jimmy got really hurt was one. But missing the playoffs this year with this team, in some ways, I think would be the worst of the group. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this would really hurt. I think this is about Kyle Shanahan, because I would say despite them having some star players, it's different because his personality is different than Harbaugh. But I do think if you just think of the poster child of this team, I mean, you could put Bosa or Kittle there, but Kyle is still the straw that stirs the drink, right? I mean, to me, it's really comes down to him. And it's not even just the matchup, him versus Sean, because a little bit like quarterbacks, you know how Rodgers always got offended when it's like him playing Brady? He's like, we don't actually play each other, Manning and Brady, and they're right. The two head coaches are not CEO head coaches. They're both calling offense. So when they're not going up against each other, even as coordinators. But it does feel like, John Gruden originally hired him, but it does feel like the Shanahan family took McVay's career to another level. And now the connection of the Shanahan, the LaFleurs, they're all interconnected. This is just you win this game, like you need definitive wins in your career, separate from when you win a title or compete, right? Just other parts throughout your career. This will just be one of those games. Remember when Kyle Shanahan went into the Rams with a rookie quarterback, or with Jimmy Garoppolo with a splint on his hand and beat Matt Stafford, a guy they had just traded 2 first-round picks for, and the potential division champs, LA Rams, week 18? Like that's... Yeah. You and I were bullshitting about this a little bit earlier before we jumped on. The cool part about sports, like all the games matter. Like if Steph Curry or Klay Thompson score 90 points in a random game in December, that's really cool. But their ultimate, like Klay Thompson is not defined by 37 points or whatever in a quarter, right? Or Steph when he scored 50 with the Knicks. They're defined on kicking the shit out of everyone in the playoffs, winning game 5s, winning game 6, winning game 7s. Belichick is defined not by the Monday night game of the Bills. That's a moment in his career. But all the playoff victories, remember when they stole that thing from Lane Kiffin at Alabama and ran it against Harbaugh, and Harbaugh lost his mind in the second round of the playoffs? Like James Harden's a great example. He's had all these great moments, nothing in the playoffs. You are defined on big games. And now, because of the schedule, week 18 is in January. And there are the Raiders, the Chargers, the Niners, the Saints. There are playoff games this week. Like true playoff games, and this is a playoff game, and it carries with you for a while, I mean, Harbaugh, the reason we still talk about Harbaugh, he has incredible regular season moments he did with the Niners. He's defined by beating Green Bay on the road, beating Green Bay at home, beating Atlanta on the road, beating the Carolina Panthers, and they were the 1 seed at the time on the road. Yep. Like doing shit like that is how you really kind of separate your career. And I think Kyle has a moment, especially if the rookie quarterback starts, like that's a huge variable in the discussion, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. But I think to your point first, before you get to any quarterback, if they win the game, they're 10 wins and they're in the playoffs. And and you know what that is? It's a really successful year. It's a success. Going to the playoffs is a successful year. You look back at all this Roethlisberger Tomlin stuff, right? Ben played 2 games without playoff. Ben played 2 games in his career in which he was eliminated from the playoffs. That's a ridiculous stat. And I think to your point on Belichick or Harbaugh, like so many of the great moments in sports are created by underdogs doing things that we wouldn't expect you to do, right? That the best moments in sports are the things that the same cliche line can be written about. If I wrote this in a storybook, you wouldn't believe it, right? That type of thing.
Wait, Jim Valvano wasn't favored by 20 points?
Jim Valvano was not favored, okay? And those are the moments that make sports the best. And now this is a little unique because the Niners have won 5 in a row, but I think it's the game, it's the rivalry, it's on the road, it's in a year of uncertainty and a lot of injury, and I think it would become one of the years. Put it this way, it would be the second biggest year for Kyle Shanahan as a head coach. I think Kyle Shanahan should have a big smile on his face if he walks off the field at SoFi with a win, because it would be a significant achievement.
He will have a smile on his face.
And he will have a smile on his face. Yeah. This these are the games when you, when you sift through the fact that there's a lot of games without playoff implications, but then you get a game or two like this, and it makes Week 18 worth it.
I agree. I mean, this is the best part about sports. I mean, all the games, if you're a sports fan, can be cool with your team, but you really get the make or break, in or out. And in football, there's not a series, right? Even in basketball, you got to wait till Game 7, and Game 7 feels like a football game. Football, the game is a football. It's just you're one and done, and it's to me, it's their sport. Definitely the playoffs are what makes the NCAA tournament so great. Like, you fuck up, you're gone. Like, they can't, like, Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo throws 2 picks and you're down 14. Like, it's a devastate, like, this. It's a finite thing. It's over.
Yeah. Nobody tunes in to watch Evel Knievel walk on a string over a 1-foot drop. You got to be over a cavern. You got to be over the Grand Canyon, right? What you lose adds to what you gain. So, I mean, is this going to be – we'll talk to Donte Whitner about this. Donte has a very interesting perspective on this game and the Niners' chances if it's Jimmy Garoppolo or if it's Donte Whitner or Trey Lance. But, I mean, how do we view it right now? Because the one thing you can't deny, Jimmy Garoppolo has beaten the Rams repeatedly. Jimmy Garoppolo has beaten the Rams before. Kyle Shanahan knows how to beat the Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo. He hasn't done that yet with Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest risk in this game is just this guy would be in over his head, which could happen to any player in his status, right? Coming from college, didn't play that much, smaller school, and then didn't get to play as a rookie and got his 3rd start of the season in a biggest game against a 12-13 win team. Like, that would be hard for – I think if Peyton Manning was on with us right now, he's like, if you would have thrown me in that situation and I was a 4-year starter in the SEC – that would have been different. I didn't get to play all year. I got 1 start leading up to it, beside another one that was 2 months ago. Like, it's just, I do understand where Kyle's coming from and wanting to start Jimmy Garoppolo, but I do get back to, Jimmy said this yesterday, it feels like the web of his finger is ripping when he grips the ball. And Jimmy's, what's the point? Like, he's going to get cut. He's going to be on another team next year. I just think he's being honest. Like, I think he's in a lot of pain. And it's what I get back to, you and I talked about it earlier this week. You can play through, a tight hammy or a fucked up elbow, or we've seen all the injuries in football, tight hips. I just do not think that you can throw the ball if you can't grip the ball. And he couldn't practice yesterday, very limited. And, I know they're acting like he's throwing the ball well, but I think they want that. I think the Niners want that out there. He's saying it feels like the rip of my hand. And why would he? I don't expect him to be able to go. I could be wrong. I mean, this is based on.
You're saying the Niners want it out there that he's practicing to just create the unknown. No question. But I also understand if you're him, why you play. I think we spent a lot of time with Jimmy talking about all the other things Jimmy has going for him, but he might like playing football and being out there with his teammates, and he might want to play even if it hurts, even if Don Yee's like, I don't know, Jimmy, this hurts how much money the next team might give you if you go out there and play poorly, right? I mean, we talk about a lot of things with Jimmy, including his play. Every time I watch Jimmy Garoppolo, you know what I think? I think this guy likes playing football.
Well, if you're decent at football, especially if you're a quarterback, like, why wouldn't you want to play football if you're a quarterback?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is doing everything he can to play the game. I think he would try to play.
I don't disagree there. Like, I think he wanted to play last week. He's just not able to. Now, the pushback could be for me saying, like, what is he really, they're getting rid of him. Well, what if he plays this game, banged up, wins, and throws a couple touchdowns? Like, you talk about improving your value. He's 30 years old. Last time I checked, he has a long runway to continue his career and make a lot of cash in a league that has a lot of money.
Yeah, I think most guys, if given the chance, would do the Ted Williams. Like, you can sit out the last day of the year and preserve your 400 average, or play, roll the dice, and see if you can make it better. Ted could have lost his 400 average.
Didn't he end up getting 402 or something?
Yeah, and he played, and he got a hit, and he went 402. Now, it's unique because that's a record. That's not a playoff thing. I mean, this is the whole – Jimmy Garoppolo's whole thing is like trying to do this, make it to the playoffs. So I think if he doesn't play, it's very much because he is not capable. And I go back to I don't think that's not what Kyle Shanahan wants. Kyle Shanahan's preference would be to have a Jimmy Garoppolo that's healthy enough. The question is, what can he get out of Trey if Trey is the guy that has to be the quarterback against the Rams? And I think the first thing he needs, I just want to make this point. I think the first thing he needs, and this goes back to, I thought of this after actually talking to Donte. They got to find a way for Trey Lance on the 7 times that he runs to be a more decisive runner. With a young quarterback against a good defense, I think it's critical that the last week was spent convincing Trey, like, Trey, if you're going to run, you got to go. Your best chance is just going to be go. And maybe you can change the game with one big run.
I was in the car yesterday hearing Steve Young on with Tom, and Steve's like, yeah, in my gut, I think Kyle Shanahan's going to do everything humanly possible to start Jimmy Garoppolo in this game. But he's like, he would be crazy. And he's like, obviously, I'm jaded. I came up in the league, even around Joe Montana, where we both played. You have to give him plays. So if Jimmy Garoppolo is, to me, he's got to be close to like 90, 95%. Like you can't throw him out there 60, 70% unless you are willing to immediately, like the opener in baseball, which I don't think Kyle would be. I think Kyle would write it out a little bit. And he's just dead set on who gives him the best chance to win. 100% healthy Jimmy probably does, but that is not the case. So, but I do get, like you said, Trey hasn't shown that he'll just let it rip with his legs. Trey hasn't shown that he's just ready at the NFL level all 4 quarters just to beat. I mean, he played one good team in his 2 starts, and it was a really big struggle for him, which is, again, understandable. At the time, that team was like the best defense in the league. They have fast guys everywhere. Well, so does this team. Now, the Arizona has a pretty good home field advantage, I'd say, when they're good at football. Like, that place kind of rocks. I would expect, I'll be shocked if it's not minimum 55, 60% Niners. There's going to be a lot of red there, would be my guess.
Including yours?
Oh, yeah, I brought a red shirt.
I think it will have to be it'll obviously be a testament to Trey Lance if they win the game with Trey. I think it'll have to be a big Shanahan game. I mean, it's a huge Shanahan game, picking his spots and making sure his guy knows what to do in big spots. And then what does that mean? It means you're just trying to get the ball to Kittle. You're trying to get the ball to Debo, and guys got to make plays.
Yeah, I mean, I just think on a big picture for the game, they've obviously been on the right side of this, and they've won, I think, the turnover battle, whether that's throwing picks, whether that's fumbling, whether that's getting interceptions from Stafford, and the special teams. Like, you can't muff a punt. You cannot fumble a kickoff. Like, their special teams, like, you don't have to do anything crazy. Like, Robbie, you got to hit a field goal or whatever, but just no muff punts, no drop field goals, no dropped, field kickoff returns. Any of that shit, to me, they're losing. And I'm going to be very nervous. You know how we get nervous when they throw deep on the Niners? I say every special teams play, minus the field goal, and even the field goal, I don't have much faith the guy's going to make the kick. It's more, I just get very nervous that a royal fuck-up is coming.
I know. It's winning a football game is dodging. It's a lot of dodging mines. Now the beauty is they'll throw you. Stafford's going to throw you a couple. If it hits Ambry Thomas in the chest, is he going to catch it?
Josh Norman hit, not in the hands.
I don't know. That PI. All right. This show is basically this is what we love about sports podcast, because the same thing falls into the category. There are some games that matter this weekend. The Niners game is at the top of the list. The Chargers-Raiders game at the top of the list. A lot of other games, like the Saints game, is on that list for sure. There are other games that matter, but like need for the things to happen. Like the Ravens need to win and have Chargers win and Indy win and Miami lose. And, Pittsburgh needs to win and have Indy lose and have the Chargers-Raiders game not end in a tie. Derek Carr has a playoff game himself, which is fantastic because he's never played in a playoff game. And here he is toe-to-toe with one of the golden childs of the NFL right now, Justin Herbert. Also a guy that's, kind of taken over LA in some ways, side by side with the Rams. And he's got a unique spot. He's never, ever been to the playoffs. And all he's got to do is beat Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley and the Chargers. And he goes to the playoffs in the year from hell. That'd be a hell of a story.
I also think his career has, even though their numbers look a little bit different, and I think we all view Stafford as a better player than Derek, has some similarities. And, when Stafford left the Rams, all we've been talking this year is he's never played in an important game, even though he played in the playoffs several times. right? It's not like, but it never felt that big of a deal. It never felt that Derek gets a chance to play Sunday Night Football the last week of the season to win and get in at home. Alan Chris at home, win and get in. In his career, he's made a shitload of money. Derek, he's even said, like, I have more money than I even know what to do with. He is filthy rich. His brother was the number 1 overall pick back when they paid a lot. He dwarfed his brother in earnings and has more money coming. But I think to have a defining win on your career, at 30 years old, because he doesn't have one. He just doesn't. Now, part of it, ankle shattered. I mean, part of the reason he didn't play in the playoffs, right? Because he was getting taken off by a cart in the front of the seat. But that's the fact. He didn't get
Put him in the back.
It did not happen. And this is an opportunity. I think the amount of credit he would get, and he is getting right now, but would quadruple if he can win this game against a team that is better than his. They're a favorite for a reason. The Chargers are better. They played earlier this season. The Chargers, I can't remember if that was Thursday or Monday night. It was definitely on a primetime game. They thoroughly outplayed them. They outplayed them. It really wasn't close. They kind of made it. It felt like a game in the second half, but it wasn't. They had a good couple drives. Derek wins this game. It's easily he just had one of the defining wins of his career, I thought, at Indy. The play he made to Renfro. This would be tenfold that, and that was big.
You know what? The other thing, I hate to use this word. As long as we've been doing the show, I hate to use this word. Deserves. There's no deserves. Like, you win the game, you deserve it. If you lose the game, you don't deserve it. But I will make an exception here. I think Derek's career deserves. I think he deserves this game. Given the way he's played, especially the last 3 weeks. I said on the last pod, but it hasn't been about putting up 350 yards. It's been about making clutch plays, which has been one of the questions with him over the years. He's been clutch for several weeks in a row now for them in adverse situations. And, most of life, just like most of sports, you don't have your A+ stuff. And so you have to find a way to perform when you don't. And that's what he's done the last 3 weeks. Without his A+ stuff, he's thrown 2 picks on the road, in the cold. They shouldn't have been in Cleveland, all that kind of stuff. And he's done it. And again, I'm not going to use the word deserves, but I'm going to use the word deserves. I think he deserves the opportunity. He is playing for a franchise that, for the most part, does not do everything it can to give its players the chance to play on the biggest stages. He's played for Dennis Allen and RIP Tony Sperano and Jack Del Rio, who's solid, but he's not going to be a head coach in the NFL again. He's played for John Gruden, and that blew up. And he's playing for Rich Bisaccia in one of the most ridiculous seasons what team has been through
in the history of the league.
Yeah. As the team moved, the last year they played, their owner didn't come to a game last year. I mean, it's just everything that he's been through.
Home game. I think he traveled.
Oh, okay.
And did we ever get evidence like he never ventured in there?
Don't take a photo. Don't take photos. No shots of Mark in the booth. But I think that Derek has performed for his career above the level of accomplishment that his team has gotten out of it. Whether or not he's a top tier one, like we have all these debates about Derek. To me, what's not debatable, far worse quarterbacks have made the playoffs than Derek Carr.
Oh,
far worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like, without question. He is a good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. At minimum, he is a good quarterback. And I would love to see him in the playoffs, to get the opportunity at this point in his career to start to push things down a different path. Who knows what comes next? Maybe it's Harbaugh. But, so if it's Harbaugh, they're in the playoffs next year.
Who's got it better than us? The Chiefs.
Like 27 other teams, but we got
Chiefs.
you,
Jim. The Patriots.
Hey, maybe the Raiders are 14-3 next year, John.
No, I wouldn't. I'd never put it past the big guy, old Jimmy.
So I'd love to see it. And here's the beauty of this game. These teams play close games. The Raiders and the Chargers both play close games. I could see, I don't know what Rams not. There is no way that Raiders-Chargers is not a single score game ahead in the fourth quarter. That is a guarantee, John. You can stamp it. Raiders-Chargers is a one-score game going to the fourth quarter. It's just going to, don't you agree?
If the Raiders are going to win, it's going to be tight. I could see the Chargers being up by a couple touchdowns.
All right.
The Raiders win. It's a tight game. Chargers win. I could see them winning handily.
You think Brandon Staley's just going to waltz right into the playoffs?
No, I mean I'm going to pick. Raiders, Niners. I like them both to win.
Yeah, I like that pick. All right. For those of you watching, keep an eye out. Later Thursday night, the Donte Whitner interview will debut on YouTube tonight. The full podcast with the Whitner interview in it will be out later tonight as well, probably. And what else do we? I mean, we got a million things that we're.
Yeah, we'll be a big show. I mean, Sunday, and then hopefully we got a playoff game.
Big show Sunday. Yeah, that's what you need to know. Big show Sunday. All right. Thanks for hanging.
Adios, people. Let's
Later.
go, baby. Let's go.